Hi everyone. We are Group 3 from Lab Group SS5 and I'm Flora.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Lejia.
I'm Xuege.
And I'm Jean.
So first we'll be going through the admin methods. Error message will be printed when selected domain is wrong. So when student Alice tries to log in during an invalid access time, she'll be denied entry. Now the admin will try to log in, and only when the login ID is correct and the password is correct, then the admin method will be displayed as shown here. Now the admin will try to add a student. When there's less than 9 characters in ID, it'll be wrong. When the ID exists, it'll also be wrong. When there is a letter between the first and last character, it'll be wrong. And the first and last letter must be capital letters. And the first letter must be either P, U, or N. Here is when the ID is correct. Name of the student cannot include a number or character. The gender is either capital F or M. Capital F or M must be used. The nationality must not contain numbers. The major of student must be written in capital letters. Year of study may only be from 1 to 5. Finally, this is the case where all inputs are correct. The list of students will be printed at the end. So now the admin will try to add a course. When the input is a letter or number other than 1 or 2, an error message will be printed. The new course cannot exist in the database. The letters must be in capital letters. Course code must have 6 characters. When A use is 0, there will be an error message. Input can only be Y or N, otherwise there will be an error message. Exam date must be of the right format. The date input can only be after current date. The time input must follow a certain format. Time format must be hour, hour, minute, minute. Exam end time cannot be before the exam start time. A new course index cannot exist in the database. Lecture, tutorial, or lab can be the input. The input can only be from 1 to 7. Input can only be 1, 2, or 3. The capacity must be a number. When all the inputs are correct, then the list of courses will be printed at the end. The admin will try to update the course, but the course must exist, and the course code must exist in order for the course and course index to be updated. The input must be from number 1 to 5, otherwise an error message will be printed. Next, the admin will try to check vacancy, but the course index must exist and must have 5 digits. Next, the admin will try to print the students list by index. Index must exist in order for the list to be printed. If the course has no enrolled students, then a message will be printed to say that there are no students enrolled. Next, the admin will try to add a student into a course. First, the student's login ID must exist. Student cannot be enrolled in a course he is already in. When successful, courses registered list will be printed. Finally, the admin will try to change the access time since Alice is not able to log in now. The date must be of the correct format and must not be before the current time. The ending date for access period cannot be before the start date. When successful, the new current access period will be printed. We will then explore the student methods. When the student successfully logs into his or her account, the menu will be printed. Student cannot be enrolled in a course he is already in. The course index number must exist. Course index input can only be numbers. The course cannot be added if there is a timetable clash. An error message will be printed. When successful, the student will be added into the course and the list will be printed. When there are no vacancies, the student will be added to a wait list. The student will try to print the course and all registered and waitlisted courses will be printed and AUs. When checking for vacancy, the right index must be keyed in. If the index does not exist, an error message will be printed. The index number must be numeric. When the student wants to change index, the input must be numeric and the index must exist. When changing index, the student must be enrolled in the current index number. Current and new index number must not be the same. The new index number must also exist. There must not be a clash in the new index number and the student's current timetable. When the student is successful, a success message will be printed. It can be seen that the index has changed. When the student wants to swap index, the student must also log into a second student's account. The second student's ID and password must be incorrect. If the index does not exist, an error message will be printed. If the student was not enrolled in the course or index, an error message will be printed. Both students must be enrolled in the index they want to swap. The index must be numeric in nature. When successful, a success message that tells the user which index has been swapped will be printed. So just to show that the index that the student wants to swap cannot be swapped if it clashes with the student's timetable, we will be changing Hillary's index to 10186. When attempting to swap the index cannot be swapped due to timetable clash. When the student is in a wait list and the vacancy has been increased by the admin, then it will cause the student to be notified. So for course index 10261, the vacancy has been increased to 1, and this causes an email to be sent to Alice's email address, which tells her that she successfully registered in the course. So when Alice tries to add courses when she has reached 21 AUs, an error message will be printed. Next, we will also be adding Brian into 10261 waitlist. When Alice drops the index and Brian is in the waitlist, he will be notified and added into the course. The student can only drop index when he is registered or in the waitlist for it. It cannot be a letter or a number out of the range.